If you enjoy Celtic knots, looped patterns, snakes, or abstract designs, snakes on a planar surface, also known as entwined snakes, might be right up your alley. My link tree, linktr.ee/cattheminion, gives you easy access to Etsy, DeviantArt, and Cafe Press. While the original is no longer available, you can find a small reprint of the center portion as cover of one of the 9 chapbooks I offer, randomized in my chapbook packs. The chapbook packs feature repurposed pieces of small art tucked into an envelope with the wee booklets and can be given as a greeting card or used as oracle cards. Accordingly, they are in the divination tools section of my Etsy shop. Use coupon code 3star17 to get 17% off your purchase of 3 or more items. Additional promo codes are available to visitors of my Patreon. Prints and merch of Entwined Snakes are available in the digital remaster with cutout border and dark green field. You can get prints of snakes in my DeviantArt shop. Just click it, and when you get to the individual page, click the Buy From button. Once you're in the print page, you can select from the menu various fine art prints with optional framing or small art gifts like mugs, postcards, and magnets. You can get entwined snakes on many products for wearing and decorating in my Cafe Press shop. Shop items like phone cases, blankets, shirts, drinkware, stickers, magnets, keychains, and more. Thanks for getting twisted with me. The video you're here to watch starts now. Okay, I think I have got this settled in here this time. So it has, okay. I did a comment while that was running, so I just have one more thing to do here. There we go. All right, hopefully I'll remember to do those again after. All right, so if you've got something to cut out, this is the time to do it, whether you're doing scrapbooking or you're making some of these because you've got the template. For me, I have been trying to pick up my table for a couple days so I can do my tarot readings. And I've decided that I needed to cut up all of my scraps and make them into little chips. Because eventually I'm going to turn my paper charm kit into, ooh, that one's not part, a 3D charm kit with epoxy. And when I get some clear stuff, I'm going to dump these in there, and then I will have rainbow chip charms, 3D or bas relief charms to give out to people. And I'm supposed to be sleeping right now, but I've had a rough day and I need to decompress. So I had planned on doing this mental health break, and now I'm doing it. So we should be on uncertainty tier. And so what I've been doing is I've basically just been mincing them with the fabric scissors, and I hope I have enough room left in this bag for these. It's actually getting pretty full. So I don't know if they'll fall out or if they'll stay in there and cooperate, but whatever. If I have to dump them into another bag, I will. I have it propped up on this plastic thing right now. The static with the foam is that they like to hop out of there. I don't know if it's going to pick up the snippy sounds of the scissors, but I've just been making. Oh, I'll get the next one closer. I'm just going to do this one. It was sort of cathartic. I was listening to a couple of podcasty things, and then I was listening to meditation music when I was doing this. Okay, so make this sort of where the thing is here. I did better this time at actually having my screen the right size, because I didn't realize I had share screen on when I was making these the other day in Woo tier. So I'm just going to snip them into my bag here, and hopefully they won't go all over my keyboard. And this is just what I'm doing. So if you've got some music that you want to put on as background over me, that's fine. Now, normally, if there were going to be people in here, there would be some chat going on. I'm going to put this on for a minute. So I haven't been doing that many live streams, but I'm practicing doing all the things right. This is somewhat enriching because you can kind of zone out, but there's also this idea that each little piece is slightly different. You have to, like, I'm trying to keep them a certain small size. So each individual cut off piece is slightly different. It provides sort of an enrichment. Again, if you're actually cutting out something, like these pieces all came from my scrap pieces that were, the largest piece possible to cut out, and it had a lot of extra green, so I've got some leaves out of those. So those are just going to go in a bag and be as extra pieces. And if they're not the right color, I might just assemble them into like a little lotus petal wall situation at some point. So the whole point of this is just to be in there and to cut up something that you need to cut, just to sort of commune with the scissors, as it were, just to, be present with what you're doing and not worry about anything. It's not that like I have to have this done tonight. It's that I really just need to sit and not do stuff that involves high concentration. Like, I just want some time to myself. I can't do it for that long though, because I have a headache from sleep deprivation at this point. So I had some stuff going on in the real life there, in the meat space. And I figure, it doesn't matter if all the colors, these keep falling out of there because of the static electricity, because they're light. So I have to keep picking them up and throwing them in there. It just takes a while. I think I spent like 5 or 6 hours cutting up all the pieces that fit this bag and all of the scraps over here that are in shape. So I got these leaves are actually smaller than what I usually use, but I figure if I use 2 of the little ones, it'll be like one of these on the 4-inch lotuses, because that's basically the only thing that I make out of these. But it seems awfully wasteful to spend the money on something that's so processed like this craft foam, just to throw out big heaps of it. So if I can use it to decorate plain epoxy when I can afford to do that whole thing, then it won't seem like I'm wasting it. As I did have a whole bunch of random craft materials, and I thought I was going to be like moving and doing a thing with another person, and it was like, no. So I got rid of like a third of my stuff, which is fine. It's, purging and whatnot. But I got rid of a lot of craft materials, and I kind of kick myself the most about getting rid of that. Some of that stuff I could really have used, and it's been harder to get out to in public craft stores to get little odds and ends for the last couple of years. I'm not trying to pick these by any particular color. I'm just grabbing whatever. Some of it is because they keep getting electrically popped out of the bag, and they're not going to stay all clumped together by color. And this mix is just what I've used this week, and in terms of color. And then I've got stuff coming out of the top of that, and then pieces that I had saved, scrap pieces, that had long stringy bits like this attached to one end. and I've just cut those off completely in all the little corners until it's, you know, just barely one of the smallest points can fit in there. I should use a lighter one. So just barely one of the smallest points can fit in there because that's not stuff I'm going to be able to use. So then when I make more of these at some point with my, let me lean in here, my dwindling stack of foam here, I got to get some more white and black. When I make some more of them out of these full sheets and the partial sheets that are all in this box, then I'll have more of this and I'll just save it. It's kind of like how people used to save all their sewing scraps and rags and stuff, and they'd, in their spare time in the evening, they'd just sew the scraps together, and eventually, in like 5 years or something, you'd have a braided rug. It would. That's why they're expensive, because I was gonna make a braided rug out of scraps, and then I realized that I didn't have the patience to deal with that, especially because some of the materials weren't the same stuff. But I guess it's like, in the 1800s, would people be making it out of their rags, they'd get a lot of this, like the same kind of material, whether it be like cotton or wool or whatever. It wouldn't be like a mishmash of like knit jersey and woven fabrics and polyester and all that crap. So what I'm saying is that it would sew similarly, and the fabric would be of a similar thickness, so that the braids wouldn't be all wonky. Kind of want a braided rug though. Another thing I don't have anymore is embroidery floss. And I keep thinking, oh, I'll just like, make a bunch of lengths of thread together and sort of make my own, but it's not always work that way. I have such a bad headache from lack of sleep. It's ridiculous. It's not just the lack of sleep, it's the like burning through like 2 weeks worth of adrenaline for a couple days in a row on very little sleep. That's while being sick, is that's kind of the problem there. Sort of one of those like not allowed to have personal problems because other people are using up all your energy for their needs. Oops, that one needs to. Problem with getting in there if I drop one is that it like sucks up all the foam into little clumps and then it pops out again. So I've got some that are escaping back here, which I'm just gonna reel them in again. I did have some hot glue strings in there, but I think I got most of them out when I picked up all the little bitty bits last night. I'm just working on the slightly larger pieces that were left. So when this pile is picked up, hopefully I'll be able to, you know, re-inhabit the center of my table here so I can do I've got a deck review that I wanted to get to this month, and I've got the horoscope readings that are going to be up on open YouTube. So I only do deck reviews like when I have stuff. I went through all of my decks that I've had, and then I got a couple of newer decks, and that was like a year ago now, something like that. And one of them I have reviewed, and one of them I haven't. And then I have a card deck that I got like last Christmas, I guess, that I'm gonna do in a review maybe next month. But I don't like to review decks until I've used them for a while and I feel comfortable with them. I will say that I wasn't quite comfortable with the Wild Unknown Archetypes, but I had a reading where I was really feeling it like shortly beforehand. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. So I got to get a deck review of the Starseed Oracle. I don't know if I'm going to do this whole pile on here because I kind of want to stop talking and listen to music, but I'll get like a half an hour maybe. Did I do that one already? I think I did the adopt an episode, so let's do the... Okay, so let's just do the link tree. Okay. Let's see, this one's flippy. There we go. All right, so let me take that off, and then we'll go back to comments, and I'll do a test comment from inside of StreamYard. I type it faster and better, but I'm only got laptop keyboard is weird. No, I didn't want to go to the other thing. I want to go over here. Enter. Hello. Oh, there it is. Okay. Hello. Moto. Okay. All right. I remembered to do the things because I'm getting slightly better at this. Probably can't really see what I'm doing, but that's all right. I'm just making little cut marks and then chopping it, kind of like you would dice an onion, where you sort of cut into it and then chop it the other way, like weaving, basket weaving. And this, I did this for like hours and hours, and it wasn't really great for my circulation, but sometimes you just need to zone out for a while. You know, I listened to a few things, I thought about stuff, and then I just zoned out entirely and sort of manic, hyper exhausted manic episode, which I don't recommend, but you know, it sort of goes under the auspices of self-care in some cases. This is only silver because I painted it for the Dracula Lotus. The Forage Dracula Lotus sold, and I only put those on there like a couple days ago. So the other Halloween ones are still available. There's two 4-inch candy cane lotuses because I was trying to do a couple of... I did one and then I didn't have enough to do another one, but I was trying it with the light orange and it didn't work, so I had to paint it. And then there's a 6-inch painted one, which is this guy with paint on it. And there's both sizes still the Frankenstein. It's the gunmetal gray, sort of, but just only the 6 of this is left. So I mailed the little one today to the purchaser. There we go. This kind of, it seems like a ridiculous thing to do, and like, why am I doing this when it takes forever? But I mean, look how it's like friggin' full bag. It kind of reminds me of Legos. Like a full bag of rainbow stuff. Sometimes it reminds me of all those little short videos on Instagram with that girl singing like, "Why does it cost so much? Because it takes me for fucking ever." Oh, because it takes me fucking hours. That's how that goes. I don't feel like putting. Well, partly because I don't know. Well, I guess I could know how. I could download it, but I don't feel like trying to put trendy videos and do the same thing that like 30 or 4,000 other people are doing. It costs that much because it takes me fucking hours. Sounds like Lily Allen, but I don't know if it's her. I haven't cut the crap out of my fingertips yet either, which is sort of amazing because these are really sharp. And I've been cutting this stuff for like days. I was gonna use the little thread scissors for it, but they're like they got buck teeth and they tend to like slide over each other a little bit. I think because I was I was nipping thick seams with them and mangled them a little bit, but whatever. When I was doing like a plushie. Now I got that song stuck in my head. It's not even that good. So I think one of the reasons that I've sort of decided that I was going to do this is because I like randomly came across a bunch of like how to make your own silicone molds with cheap caulking gun silicone and cornstarch. And I was like, ooh, those are readily available at a retailer near me. And I've got a bowl I can mix them in. I was like, great. Like, even if I got a big tube, we even have caulking guns downstairs. So I was like, okay, great. And then but I only have like one small little chunk of Sculpey to make the things out of. So I'd have to make like one or two molds at a time in the meantime, but I suppose I could do that as a side project while I'm still working on the Angel Oracle deck, and that way do like micro batches of silicone out of a little tube. Um, and that way, by the time I can afford to get some epoxy, maybe they'd be done. Because it's going to take me a long time to make 205 charms out of thing. And I'm going to have to get some Vaseline to pop it out of the mold. Because I don't think we have it. Well, maybe we've got some. Just get a little one at the store. But yeah, I don't have a lot of modeling clay to make a bunch of blanks at once. I also heard about making molds with hot glue, and I was like, wait a minute, if I get going into molds, I might try to melt down and remold unless I got rid of the broken shoe. I might try to remold some doll shoes. So I got some chunky shoes on my 17-inch Ever After Madeline Hatter that I redid that I made out of hot glue, and they're kind of chunky. Because I just kind of molded them over her feet, basically, with some plastic wrap in between. And I could make her better looking shoes with a mold that fit her feet a little better. And I could, in theory, make it, if I had enough clay, I could make it out of the clay and then put hot glue over the mold and then fill it with something. But I was thinking with I got a couple of doll shoes that split because some of the 90s shoes now, the plastic is old enough that it's brittle and it splits. So I've got a split Ken shoe, and I've got my new out of the box totally hair brunette Barbie. One of her shoes cracked when I went to put it on her. So now she's got like 1960s vintage reproduction pumps in a different color on that fall off her feet. And I was like, well, if I could mold the pump with either hot glue or the silicone mold, I could melt the shoe that's broken and just pour it back in there. But I don't know how hot that plastic would be. It'd be like, I was thinking it would look like I was making something nefarious. I like a little spoon with just like one shoe's worth of blue plastic and like a lighter. And somebody's like, what the hell is that smell? You like, what the fuck are you doing up there? This is why I need like a real workshop and not like part of my bedroom because of the chemicals. I can't be over here like bad enough to like huff the Sharpies for 3 hours drawing one of the angels, but open a window. Okay. All right. So we have me cutting with scissors for about a half an hour here. I don't think this one really needs to be longer. Sometimes it can take hours to cut out pattern pieces. When I did the I've got a little I've got a photo of it that I took with the camera and then I drew on it in GIMP, but with the when I was working on my painting. So this was the paper mache mold that I used to do pattern pieces. So I did like after I made the paper mache mold, then I basically just like put masking tape over and cut it off. And that was for the 3D part. But this is like on the flat canvas and I was drawing on it. But it took a long time because there were like 52 pieces I had to cut out of canvas to make the 3D part. And it took like a week to sew it all together. So, and most of sewing any garment or stuffed animal is tracing and cutting and then ironing. They're like, oh, I want to sew. The sewing is like 2 seconds. The sewing is like 1.5% of the time it takes to make something. It's like, I love sewing. It's like, no, you don't. You love having stuff finished. Like 3 hours to make a fucking pair of shorts. It's like, why? I on God's green earth. I wish I knew how to quilt though. That's like a special kind of patience, especially because the little pieces are so small. But I would love to be able to make a kick-ass quilt. I've got some distant cousins, or at least one particular distant cousin who just like is a boss at quilting. And I think I've got a couple other like non-relative online friends that do quilting. It's a skill that I do not have. Plus, there was some lady where I used to work that did a lot of sewing with her granddaughter. Try to block it out of my memory because I had a kind of a bad experience typing property schedules at name redacted insurance company. But let me tell you, when I see those commercials on TV, it really triggers me. There we go. All right. I think I'm just about done here. I've got a bunch more on the table still, but I think you get the general idea. Mostly because I'm supposed to be sleeping right now because I have like an emergency to attend to in the morning, and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning already. So I'm gonna call it there. This is, you know, if you're not done yet, just turn up some music or put on a podcast or an internet radio show and just keep, working on what you're working on. Because I don't know if you want to hear me repeat the same stupid crap twice. If you've got any other, you could put on one of my tarot videos either here on Patreon or in my YouTube channel. 'Cause it's never like, oh, it's only for the time it was released. It's always like whenever you find it. So time is not actually linear and everything's happening. Every time is now throughout all of history and blah de blah de blah. So, something that I did in the past can still be valuable for you in 5 minutes or you in 3 days. So if you want to keep cutting on the thing that you're cutting, paper scissors for paper, junk scissors for cardboard, and thread scissors for thread, fabric scissors for fabric, then keep on going. I recommend taking a break before you get a sore on your hand. When I was working on my chapbook packs and cutting down this 1 foot thick stack of drawings, boy, I tell you, I really, really had a blister on my hand. It's like Paul there in Helter Skelter. I got blisters on my fingers. All right. So I'm going to roll outro and we'll say goodbye for now. And hopefully you got a little bit of a mental health break, which is basically what I needed. It takes a while to set up. I needed to just kind of zone out and chill out. All right. So we'll see you on the next one. And, sometimes we'll be fixing stuff. Sometimes sometimes if you're like anxious and nervous, this is before I actually roll the outro. If I'm like sitting at a table and I can't really leave yet and I'm not enjoying myself, I might just start like ripping up the unused napkin into little bits, or if there's toothpicks, like break them up into a little pile of smithereens. And when our cat Ori gets anxious, she finds a paper towel, she'll like chew it up and like rip it up into little bits. And I don't get mad at her because I'm like, well, she's got to have an outlet for her anxiety. So this is essentially part of that sort of controlled, microscopic, destructive, make it disintegrate into tiny little pieces, which can be cathartic too. It's like I'm making it disappear, but I'm also giving it a different purpose. Like it's craft foam isn't really meant to be just like coloring for epoxy, but it is now, or it will be when I get some epoxy. So ripping stuff into little bits is perfectly fine as a release for anxiety. I think it's a different flavor, but the same energy as going after a punching bag. It's a kinetic force that helps you move the energy out of your body, like in a way that maybe dance could. But here we're doing arts and crafts, and we're as Weird Al might say, we're running with scissors. So here we go. All right. That was helpful for everybody. These aren't always supposed to be like razzle dazzle excitement. It's just supposed to be like hanging and chilling out. So here we go. I don't know what the one for this was for uncertainty tier was last time, but hopefully it wasn't like totally boring.
It's whatever I happen to be doing at the time. I had no idea I was going to be doing this. And I was like, this is great. I mean, this looks pretty cool too. It's all like little tiny bits of different colors, and it's not going to be the same every time because, you know, this is left over from a bunch of these that still had points on them from whatever I had left, and then all the Halloween colors and some of the piece of silver that I painted. So it helps with the randomizing. Plus that each one has like 3 colors on it, so it evens it up a bit. All right, I'm getting out of here.
Cat the Minion energy work is focused on building a community around creativity and connectivity. Connect to new friends, the universe, and yourself. Shift your perspective of everyday life. Alleviate the stresses of daily life by tapping into self-expression. Help me build my offerings around your needs by investing, interacting, and brainstorming new things we can do. Your financial contributions via donations, purchases of goods and services, and participation on Patreon allow me to pay mundane bills, upgrade to better interactive services and equipment, and to buy art supplies and materials. Additionally, your support helps me pay it forward to charities, other energy workers, and artists, and to gain more visibility so our community can reach even more who need it. You can find a number of the goods and services I offer by clicking the links from my website, cattheminion.wordpress.com, or from my link tree, depending on your preference, linktr.ee/cattheminion. I'm offering original art pieces, digital downloads, art prints, merch, tarot readings, divination tools, templates, coloring books, a dark poetry book, YouTube content, self care encouragement, and more.